Hey, John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com, and today I've got another email that I'm going to answer here, and this is a long one. So I'll be perfectly honest with you here. Part of the reason why I'm doing a video on this is because I don't want to type up long responses. It'll be easier to do a video, and then also, this email is probably not going to apply to you directly. You're not going to have the same problem as this guy, but the idea of having these kind of same choices that you have to make in your career and deciding how to make those choices, I think there might be some value in me kind of going through that process and talking about what I think about these things. So I'm going to paraphrase the email a little bit here, but here's the basic email. He says, "Hey John, I'm glad to write you this. I need a small favor from you. Hope you remember me. I'm a programmer with 8 years of experience." He lists some of the companies he's worked for. He's worked in C++, Python, and lately experimenting with web technologies like Node and Angular. In recent days, I'm very confused about my future, especially because of the following technology choices. So he lists C and C++, Python-based server-side expert, AngularJS and Bootstrap, mean stack, etc. So he's got these three different choices, right? I'm coming to the point here. The basic doubt is heavily demotivates me, and once a week I keep switching my goals, which one to master, on which one, and it leaves me with unrealistic and unstable goals. Another trouble I have is that each of the choice has their own advantages and disadvantages, and I've studied them too. So to decide further, I went down and tried to analyze my own life goals. So good, that makes sense. That's smart, because that's how you're really gonna. Everything is decided off of your life goals. So what are your life goals? Okay, so he says here they are. One, relocate to Australia. I've already got a work permit and residency. I just need to get a job and travel. And two, or to get in touch with startup clubs in my own city in India and contribute to startups. Okay, so then he also says the above two goals share the common underground goal called I need to pay off $25,000 in debt, which I built with my 30 years of poor financial planning. So okay, so we've got the two goals of essentially the kind of big goals, and then both of these things have to go along with this. We got to pay off this $25,000 in debt. So, okay, so it seems day to day I'm losing my clarity. I don't have any problem with my employer. However, growth isn't much guaranteed. I'll continue. If I continue with my current employer, it will take 5 full years to clear off my debts, in which I lose my youth. Any guess at what I need to do or lack, right? And then he lists the choices: C++, Python, and why he likes them, Angular, and then his to-dos for each one of those languages for C++, Python, and web development. My feelings get so cyclic, and I'm not able to focus on anything. And for the past 2 months, I am struggling, and I didn't make much progress on anything, low progress on everything. What do you feel? Do you have any points to throw on me? And then he ends us with a PS. What stuff to add to keep myself motivated? Motivational speakers are fine. He mentions Brian Tracy has helped him a lot. He's not sure about religious speakers. What do I think about religious stuff, and how much energy do I put into it? So I'm going to kind of address this from the top down here, and this is going to be a little bit of a long video, so buckle your seatbelts, or But okay. So let's look at the very first thing is trying to decide between these different technology choices, right? C++, Python. He says Angular JS, right? So you could have a career in any one of those things. I think right now splitting between the three is a bad idea, because these are very involved things. Being a C++ expert is difficult. It requires a lot of time. Python is a totally different thing. Doing the Angular, JS kind of full stack JavaScript developer. The JavaScript parts could be combined with other things, even with C++ or Python. But if you're doing that whole mean stack, right? If you're trying to get these are really three separate things. So the focus needs to be on at least one thing for now until certain goals are achieved, right? And here's how I would decide. Based on the situation, right? This is not going to be a follow your passion type of thing. At least I don't think so. The number one pressing thing that is messing you up, right, in this situation is that you owe $25,000 of debt, right? So here's the thing. you're not going to really be happy until you get that. That's the thing that's crushing you. That is the big thing, I would assume. I mean, if you owe this money, if you're worried about wasting your youth, if you think it's going to take 5 years to pay off at your current employer, then, you know, to be honest with you, right, you're not going to probably, well, okay, with the amount of debt that you have, I'll take that back. If you get the right job, if you get the right, if you did some freelance and got the right contracts and stuff, you could possibly accelerate this quite a bit. So I would focus on accelerating this. How can you get to the point where you pay off this $25,000 as fast as possible? Because that's probably going to motivate you more than anything else, and then it'll give you a lot of freedom. Right now, when you're in debt like this, you are chained, right? You don't have your freedom because you owe money. You have to. You're compelled to work. You have to make a certain amount of money, right? So let's get rid of that. So, and then you can focus on some of your other goals of either relocating to Australia or not. So based on that, this is what I would advise. I would say, let's figure out what is the thing that you can do that's going to make you the most money, because that's going to have the biggest impact on your life more than anything else right now, is getting to a point of paying off that debt, of getting in that situation, out of that situation, right? So, you know, you'll have to decide for yourself based on where you're at and what your circumstances are, whether C and C++ or Python or Angular. You know, to be honest with you, I would think that if you had expertise, if you focused on the Angular JS, Bootstrap, you know, mean stack, as long as you already have enough you know, skills or expertise in that, if you focused on that, since that's hot and in demand right now, and probably, you know, JavaScript really has a pretty big future, and plus there's so many resources to learn. I think that's going to be your fastest track to making more money. So I would specialize in there, some, not just in general, but pick some kind of sub niche in there, something that you can be kind of the expert at that no one else is. I talk about this a lot in my How to Market Yourself as a Software Developer course. You need a personal brand, right? You need some way to basically set yourself apart, that you can charge more money, you can be kind of the expert. Now, at that point, that is going to help you to be able to do two things I would try and do, right? One is I would try and, you know, obviously don't just quit your job, right? Have a plan for your, you know, your 5-year plan with your current job, but see if you can improve your skills to the point that you can get a better job that's going to accelerate things, that is in line with this new specialty. Also, start trying to get some freelance work, some extra work on the side, so you can accelerate paying off that. Now, at the same time, right, cut your expenses. Like, you don't need TV, right? If you owe 25 grand and it's causing this stress on your life, cut the cable, get rid of your cell phone plan, and get a emergency cell phone. That's like, you know, however much you pay, prepaid cell phone, right? You have so many minutes, and don't use that thing. Like, use it for emergencies. Like, cut as many expenses as possible. I'm serious here. Like, you know, cut your food bill, don't eat out, right? You might have to live tight for, let's say, a couple years, but I think you could probably cut a 5-year. I mean, I have no idea what you make, but if you were to cut all those expenses as much as possible, you could probably knock this 5-year plan to get debt-free down to maybe 2 or 3 years, even with your current job. And if you can get a better job, maybe we can knock this down to 2 years. You're going to be in a better situation overall. So, okay, so that's how I would select what to specialize in. And maybe you think I'm wrong and say, no, C++ is where the money is. Okay, if you think that, then go ahead and do that. But figure out where the money is, and that's what you really need to focus on right now. And you're going to hit it from both ends. You're going to try to get the highest paying job and get extra side jobs and freelance work, and you're going to reduce your expenses like crazy. I mean, you're going to live like a monk for a while in order to do this, which is fine. This is going to be good because this is your growth phase anyway. So you're going to get rid of all these distractions in your life, and you're going to really focus on growing because, you know, in your email you said you're 30 years old. Okay, so let's, you know, the next 3 or 4 years of your life might be dedicated to really setting yourself up for the future. Because if you're in $25,000 in debt, I know you don't have investments or savings, so you need to start thinking about that as well. And the best way to do that is going to be to invest some time in your career to make sure that you grow and are able to make the money that you want to. So that's also going to clarify, it's going to clear your mind up, right? Right now you're switching between these 3 things. You're trying to grow in different directions. You don't know, you know, when you pick a path, it's gonna make things very clear. You're gonna know what to do. You're gonna know what to study. You're not gonna be tripping over all this stuff and having these doubts and not making any progress in anything. Because what tends to happen is when we don't know what to do, we choose not to do anything. So when you have a clear path, in fact, sometimes in my day when I'm having trouble getting something done, I will write out the steps in very clear details and I will check them off one by one because it motivates me to do it. So that's what we're going to try to shoot for with you here. So, okay, so I think that's going to solve most of the problem that you're talking about. You're going to have to put a lot of work into this. Obviously, this is not going to be easy. The other thing about hitting your PS on the motivation, what stuff to keep yourself motivated. I think if you set this track and you have a clear goal and you have a clear picture in mind and you know that in X years I'm going to be free, or this is what my plan and goal is, that is going to motivate you. As far as motivational speakers, I mean, don't focus too much on that, but do things that find the people that do motivate you, that do help you, and definitely always be reading some kind of motivational or positive book that will help you. I'd highly recommend reading books like Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics. Those are going to be useful ones. As far as the religious side, do I take it too seriously? I'm actually religious. I'm a Christian. I try not to let the religious stuff spill too much over into my career because I don't think we accomplish much by preaching over Twitter and things like that and whatnot. But I do think that there is a spiritual side that you need to consider that can make a huge difference in your life, and that you should definitely try and search and find the truth. I believe you should take those things seriously for sure. And I take it very seriously myself. That's just my opinion and how I operate. But I think there's more to life and the universe than just some particles floating around. Now, I could be wrong, but even if I'm wrong, my viewpoint on that makes life better and worth living and motivates you more. That's just my view on it, just my opinion. So anyway, hope that this helps you, and for everyone else listening, hope it helps you to understand how I broke this down. And different situations are going to call for different things, but in this case, it's really clear to me that what makes the most sense is to try and go down the road that's going to make the most money. That because getting that debt gone is going to be a big deal. So, and then just having some kind of a focus, regardless of the debt side, that kind of helps me to decide, okay, what should you focus on? But just having a single focus is going to make things a lot more clear. If you're in a situation where you feel like there's too many choices and things are overwhelming you, eliminate the choices. Pick a path. Even if you're wrong, big deal, right? If you pick some path and you go down that path, chances are you're going to be in a better situation than you would be than if you didn't pick a path and you try to go down 3 paths and you didn't go down any of the paths at all. So that's my advice for this week, for this video. Hopefully you find it useful. My monitor's just kicked off on me here, so I've been going for way too long. So anyway, if you like these kind of videos, subscribe to the channel, please. I appreciate that. And then if you have any questions or anything, if you'd like me to answer a question, just leave a comment in this video, or you can send me an email or tweet or something like that. And have a good one. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.